Morning, everybody. Welcome to this new edition of 1 Hour in Europe, organized by NTNU Brussels office on an almost monthly basis. I am Massimo Bosoli. I am the director of NTNU Brussels office, and this is 1 Hour in Europe. Today, we have the pleasure and the honor to have with us Anna Panagopoulou, which is the director of the Directorate ERA and Innovation in DG RTD of the European Commission, of course. And we are having a very interesting argument of discussion because we are talking about the status of implementation of the European Research Area that, you know, is a long-term initiative that the Commission is focusing on about the reform, the launch of the European Research Area, which is, of course, the main tool and the main environment where the overall European research systems operate. And we are very keen to have it optimized as much as possible, so to increase our collaboration at European level and impact in favor of the Europe competitiveness. So Anna, I don't want to take too much time, just a few rules of behavior for our guests. You know that every 1 Hour in Europe gives you the possibility also to challenge our speaker. If you want to intervene with questions to Anna, you just have to fill your name in the Q&A box that you have under the screen that you're looking at. So just click on the Q&A, write your name, reserve your right to intervene, and be ready to open your microphone and camera, because we are not reading your questions. You're going to pose your questions like a normal launch. So we take the risk to welcome hand raising as we would be in a real room. Given this, at the end of 1 hour, so meaning 11:30, the meeting will be closed. If there are unresponded questions, we apologize, but this is, of course, the rule of the game, making this event cook and eat, as we like to define. Given this, Anna, welcome again. Welcome, and very pleased to have you here, and thank you very much for your availability to share what is happening in there, where we are, what we have achieved.
Yes, thank you very much, Massimo. Good morning to everyone. I'm extremely happy to be with you today for several reasons, I have to say. First of all, because you are always an excellent host, and we have always excellent discussions in this 1 Hour for Europe, which is an excellent initiative as well. A lot of excellence here because we're talking about the excellence program. I do like very much this type of discussions, and therefore myself and my colleagues, we are always willing to join you. The second reason that I'm happy we have this discussion today is because we're approaching the European elections. And I see this forum as the way also to discuss among us what is the added value of Europe as well, and why we all need to present and to vote for the European elections. So I see it a bit as a dialogue about Europe and what Europe is doing for the research communities. And ERA is very much one of the key elements that Europe is doing for the research communities, together, of course, with the framework program. And the third reason that I like having this discussion today because is also because I would like to listen from you not only questions about ERA, but maybe some thoughts and reflections about the letter report. I don't know whether all of you have looked at the letter report, where he focused very much on the need of the freedom for the single market, which is education, research, innovation, and knowledge. And of course, he made specific references, not just to the ERA overall, but to specific areas of ERA, talking about open science, data, research infrastructures, and the investments. So all these key priorities that we have put in the ERA policy agenda for the last years, and we will continue to consider for the next ERA policy agenda, are there. So how we will be collectively able to position the work that we're doing in the context of ERA at the highest political agenda in the institutions, in the member states, and to attract the investments that we need in order to deliver a true, real, open market, internal market for research and innovation, and to contribute to the competitiveness of Europe, which is going to come very prominent in the next report, the Draghi report. A lot of Italians are on the table presenting ideas for the new political agenda of the European Commission. And talking about competitiveness here, I don't think only about industrial competitiveness, but more general, how research and innovation could contribute to the competitiveness of Europe. So, the best moment that we could ever have this discussion. I was asked to have some slides, a little bit to help also the audience to follow my thoughts, my presentation, and then of course we can have the open discussion. So I would like to start with reminding to us the overall ERA policy framework. If we can go to the next slide. So what we tried to do the last years. We started with the ERA communication, September 2020, where there were 4 main priorities considered as the most important for revitalizing the ERA for the new European research area. First of all, prioritizing investments in research and innovation. And here I would like to say that we have a particular focus also in the Resilience and Recovery Fund. And we have seen that many member states use resilience and recovery funds for research and innovation activities. We're talking about an amount around 50 billion euros out of the RRF. I think that was a huge impact already for our research and innovation communities in the member states. Then the second priority was about the boost of the market update. And then this is where we always, I would say, lacking behind. So how we were able to exploit the results of our research and innovation, and then to bring them to the market, make better links with industry. EIC, of course, particularly was one of the areas that was mentioned there. And there I'm happy that for scaling up companies and supporting riskier companies with new technologies, we are doing very well. The third point was about widening, improve access to excellence. So the innovation divide is still there. A lot of actions have been made, but still we have to work more on that. And the fourth area was what we call the classical era. So how we can strengthen more our internal market, the mobility of researchers, and free flow of knowledge and technology. And there were a lot of actions we'll see later on addressing this priority. Among the 4 priorities, I would like to say the fourth one is the easiest to achieve because it's the basis for the ERA. The one which is less easy to achieve is the investments. And you will see later on, I will speak about that. The target of 3% has been repeatedly mentioned in the European Council conclusions, in different documents, but still we are lagging very much behind. We are at 2.2%. And let's say the gap that we have is not only in public investments, but it's also in private investments. Following the ERA communication, it was agreed that Commission and member states and stakeholders will work together to develop the ERA policy agenda. This is the famous ERA policy agenda with 20 actions that at the end became 18 actions that we are pushing forwards between 2022-24. And that was something that has been really co-created. And also, we have put in place the Pact for Research and Innovation, which is a more long-term document with 10 values and principles. I don't want to go into detail, but the 4 priorities, again, is deepening ERA, broadening ERA and relevance, amplifying access to excellence, and advancing R&D investments and reforms. That were 4 main priorities, around which we have developed the ERA policy agenda. And last but not least, we have put in place the new ERA governance. And here I would say that I'm quite happy and proud that we managed to bring together around the table of the ERA Forum on a permanent basis, member states, associated countries, and the stakeholders. And I hope that you all agree by now that despite the misgivings sometimes of the work in the context of ERA, we are really doing a co-creation altogether. Then we kept with the ERA, where the member states are participating at the level of director generals, and my director general is also there, and give more strategic use of what we are doing in ERA. And of course, the council remains there for any decision-making process that goes beyond the things that we're discussing in the context of the other two groups. And in particular, I would like to say that the Council has been very incremental in defining the first policy agenda, but also concrete actions like Council conclusions that we have up to now in different areas, and the Council recommendation for research careers. So if we go to the next slide. Out of the actions that we have put, I'm very happy that we have achieved a lot, but allow me to mention 3-4 issues that I believe that they are of extremely importance, and we are very proud of that. First of all, the research assessment. And here, the Coalition of Advancing Research Assessment, based on the agreement that was made before, it's a big success. And I'm saying it's a big success because we facilitate from the Commission side this coalition, but we are not leading this coalition. It's the stakeholders that they are really leading the coalitions. And we have around more than 600 participants now, and a lot of important developments to do. We have recently published our action plan on how we address from the Commission side the 10 actions that they have been in the agreement for the research assessment. And I would like to highlight one thing where we are leading a working group on reflecting on how the European funders for research and innovation will be considering the evaluation of the projects that they are submitting, proposals they're submitting, but take into consideration the principles for a new way of considering the research assessment. So I would say that now that we are preparing the next MFF as well and the next framework program, this is going to be one of the highest priorities that we have. Research careers, we do believe that the Council recommendation on the European framework for research careers is a key deliverable. It was not easy to do it. It was not easy to negotiate it, although we managed to negotiate it in 6 months, but that was thanks to a very good preparation with member states and stakeholders. Then I would like to highlight the work that we are doing in the context of the access to excellence. So a lot of tools we have put in place in under widening program, tools that they are helping to develop the opportunities for more excellence in the widening countries. And here I would like to mention the excellence hubs that we have put under WIDERA, and we will try really to develop the capacities in the member state to improve the excellence. But also we have put in place one group of synergies between managing authorities of the member states and research ministries in order to reinforce the co-investments between structural funds and Horizon Europe priorities. And also the new tool that we have put in place, the guidelines on co-funding, co-financing between structural funds and Horizon Europe helps already to have a lot of results. And we have some first member states that are transferring money from structural funds implemented centrally by the European Commission. So I think, under Horizon Europe, I think that this is extremely important. Then green and digital, there I would like to raise 2 issues that I think it was very successful. The action on green hydrogen, and that was an action very much supported by member states and the Commission, and we have already the development of hydrogen valleys, but also the synergies that we have established and will continue to establish in the context of the SET plan. So this is very much focused on industrial collaboration, is very much focused on thematic areas, and this is the most difficult to achieve, by the way. Citizen science and citizen communication is one of the most important issues that we all agree that we have to advance in a period that trust to science needs to be improved and needs to be advanced, and it's always put into question. So here I would like to mention the plastic pilots initiative, but also initiatives that we are putting already in place, like the creation of a network of European cities of science, but also the context that we put in place, the EU talent, but also the young scientists. And last but not least, the era monitoring is the evidence that we have put in place across Europe, across the member states, to demonstrate the impact of our work in the air actions, in the air policy, and to have the evidence in order to think where we have to do more and where we have to focus in the future. So we have issued the first report in December 2023, but I will show you the link also of the platform, of the new era platform, where you can find all the information that you want about the data and report. If we go to the next slide, I would like to focus a little bit more on the Council recommendation for the European Framework for Research Careers. So from the Commission side and from our side, we did our duty. We have a Council recommendation, which is not an obligation for the Member States, but we need now to see how this will impact the policies and the regulations of the Member States, but also the activities and the HR strategies in the institution itself. And we are very much willing to continue working with all the actors in order to see how these council recommendations will be implemented. We are going to put in place together with OECD and an observatory of research and innovation careers. This is a huge deliverable as tool, I would say, because it is an observatory which is going to collect data from the statistical offices of all member states, associated countries, and even beyond. I was in the ministerial conference of OECD, and there Japan was interesting also to join. You can imagine if in this observatory we have data beyond Europe, we will see what are trends, and we better understand the patterns of mobility of researchers across Europe and beyond Europe. And we also want to put in this observatory the famous indicators of the impact of Horizon Europe program to the careers of the researchers participating in the program. So it will give us a very good basis where we stand. Okay, research assessment, I refer to that. This is one of the key priorities, research assessment for the researchers. What are the new incentives for our researchers to deliver their research activities? And last but not least, there will be a new action in our work program 2024, where we really try to support the organizational change in the institutions that they are participating in the actions, so that they will take in on board the council recommendation and they develop a policy which is more embracing for young researchers in particular. If we go to the next slide, I would like to invite you to visit, if you haven't done so far, the ERA policy platform, and even to communicate through your networks about the ERA policy platform. We feel very proud of it, because that gives us, it's one-stop shop for ERA, where you can have information about all the policy developments, what's going on, information about the state of implementation and the ERA policy agenda, but also you can have the ERA scoreboard and the ERA dashboard, where you can see how the ERA priorities are reported and implemented across Europe, and related documents. And also it gives us the possibility to create a central space for communication between all the actors. So the link is there. And very soon we are going to upload on the link in the coming days, even a map where you can see how each member state is implementing the action. So I think it will be a very good platform for providing information. And I will be very much looking forward to receive feedback from all of you that were following this session on whether you find this platform useful or whether you would like really to improve or ideas for further developments. So if we go to the next slide, please, where I would see the areas of attention. I mentioned it already, the investment gap is persistent. And this investment gap, it could come from the public sector. So we have some member states that they are really financing a lot, but we have others that they are below 1%. So on public finance. So the target has always been 1% from public sector, 2% from private sector. But we do also have a problem of attracting private investments. And here one could reflect on the way that we have established the partnerships with the industry in the context of the Horizon Europe program. As you know, most of the cases they provide in-kind contributions. Is it enough? Whether we need to have a more, ambitious approach like financial contribution as well. We have to think about investments that jointly we do at European level and at national level to join priorities, partnerships is one case. but also other priorities could be considered. The research infrastructure is another area. We have to see how we streamline most the investments from the member states. Actually, in research infrastructure is considered one of the success story of investments from the member states. But as you see what I say here at the end, we have a difficulty on reporting on these investments from member states on research infrastructures. If you go to our scoreboards and dashboards, you will see that we don't have this data in the reporting. So something needs to be done to be able to attract and to report better on these investments on research infrastructures. The whole of the governance approach. This is something that it has been discussed in the member states. It has been discussed in the context of the ERA Fund. Whenever we tackle the new ERA policy agenda, the discussions of that, it is difficult to bring other experts, other ministries to work together on thematic priorities. And that's why we will see that there is a reluctancy of promoting thematic priorities in the ERA policy agenda. It's much easier to discuss about research assessment, about research management, about open science, things that are under the responsibility of the ministries for research and innovation. But in practice, if we want to make a narrative about the ERA in the context of the internal market and the competitiveness of Europe, we do need to make a step further as well. And that's my next point, okay, what we can do more to promote competitiveness and facilitating the technological development of today. I'm thinking about the short-term, medium-term goals, but also how we can make the case for what it's now in the blue sky research, in the basic research, we will be able to trace it better to develop the technologies of the future, because this is what is going to give the technological leadership of Europe. We have some emerging new priorities based very much on what has been defined as key technologies and key priorities in the Union. AI, everybody talks about AI. And here is not only about new generative AI tools developed based on the principles of EU, but it's also about how research communities and researchers could be used more generative AI tools that exist in a more ethical way, in a secure way, but also the issue of economic security. And that is going to become, it is already important, but it's going to become more and more important. We have a new council recommendation on research security. So how the research entities, the researchers, the research organization will better protect themselves of the threats of foreign interference, and how we will scrutinize those new technologies that we have the need to keep them under control for European sovereignty issues. If we go to the next slide, based on this, we have established a very comprehensive approach the last year on developing the next ERA policy agenda in a collaborative way, based on bottom-up proposals coming from the Commission internally, member states, stakeholders. And out of this exercise, we landed up with 31 actions, is the one that you see here. All these actions are not going to be retained, of course. We had even a short survey with the stakeholders and member states and associated countries to see which of the actions they think that they are most relevant for ERA and for implemented at European level, and which actions they think we need to prioritize in the context of the next ERA policy agenda, keeping in mind that there is some fatigue of keeping high number of actions and implementing high number of actions. So the mandate we have received also from the discussion with our Director Generals in ERA is try to streamline, try to put in the spotlight priorities that are important, that they will bring an impact, and they need to implement it at the European level. So I don't want to go into detail on that, but you will see that we have some actions that is kind of continuation of the past, and we have to see how we present those actions in the context of the new ERA policy agenda, like open science, career of researchers, research infrastructures, research assessment. These are things that they are continuing away, and they will be always there, more or less, huh? But there are actions, but they are also very concrete and they are new, like the knowledge security, like AI science and research in the EU, where we need probably some immediate actions. The issue of research management, how we can improve the way that research management is implemented in the new era policy agenda, but also a lot of actions in relation to the green and digital transition and very much linking the activities of ERA with the industrial policy. And here I would like to mention in particular the revamping of the set plan, or for example, one controversial action like the non-animal approaches in biomedical research and testing pharmaceuticals. So something that probably it's easier to do it in the context of ERA rather than elsewhere because it's very controversial. Or the work on unleashing the full potential of European universities, something that has always been criticized as one of the actions of the previous ERA policy agenda that has not been successfully addressed. Still, we still try to find the way to do so. And the foresight, the R&I foresight community of practice, this is something that very much looking in the future, and it's one of the actions that we are looking at. So if we go to the next slide, please. In parallel, we are having a lot of activities in relation to the next framework program, and we expect in June a position from the ERA on the FP10, but also the work that is done in the high-level group in the context of the interim evaluation of Horizon Europe. And there, a lot of emphasis have been given on how we can better link FP10 and ERA policy agenda. So this is something indeed that we have to take into consideration. The RETA report, I refer to that, but also the Draghi report. And of course, if we go to the next slide, this is the opportunity that we have to reflect together in a broader community on the next steps of the ERA policy agenda and the policy impact of this on the 18th and 19th of September, where we are going to have the ERA conference in Brussels in order to take stock of what happened up to now, thinking about the next ERA policy agenda, but embrace it in the overall political context that we are having today. And you're all very much welcome as long as we have enough space. We are going to have 300 physical participation, and there will be connection through internet for the plenary sessions, not for the parallel sessions, but certainly we will be able to film these parallel sessions, and that will be the possibility for follow-up discussions as well. If we go to the next slide, and I think that's my last slide, and I'm on time. Very good.
That's excellent.
So this is the time framework towards the new ERA policy agenda. The aim is to have it at the beginning of 2025 with a new commission. Initially, it was been foreseen for this year, but finally we have agreed also with the member states it's better next year, but it will give us the possibility to have more strong political leverage from the new college and the new commission. But also, having seen the developments in the preparation of the next framework program, letter report and Draghi report, it will help us to adapt whatever will be the final commission proposal to the political priority setting as well. It will be a council recommendation, which means that it is a commission proposal to be negotiated at the council. And the inputs that we're still able to consider in view of finalizing the commission proposal is an ERA opinion that we are going to have in June on the new ERA policy agenda, is the ERA conference, as I said, in September, council conclusions that we prepared under the Hungarian presidency, and then we have the council recommendation from the commission proposal. At the ERA conference, we're very much looking forward to a political dialogue with the upcoming presidencies as well, because the Polish presidency and the Danish presidency will be the one to be there to negotiate at the same time the new ERA policy agenda, but also kicking off normal negotiations of FP10. So that's my short presentation or long presentation. I hope it was not too tiring and looking forward to engage with dialogue.
It was extremely interesting and inspiring, and if I understand correctly, you're ready to be challenged in every direction. Because I suspect that this is what is going to happen now. As our colleagues connected are booking their right to intervene, just as a reminder for the one who came after the start, if you want to challenge Anna, she's ready to answer to your questions. We will have now 28 minutes to have a brainstorming dialogue, very open and not really structured, I would say. So I invite you really to put on the table your reflection, because Anna is also looking for inspiration, I suspect,
Yes.
or to test the fever of the system. So is your moment also to highlight issues that in your opinion should be taken to the attention of the Commission, so for the Commission even to reflect if they should be a part of their internal preparatory debates. Remember that we are in the period of even the design of the next framework program, so whatever reasonable input of meaningful European dimension nature, I think could be taken into consideration. So I would like to start, Anna, with the letter report and maybe profit of your experience in the European dynamics, because first of all, I really loved the letter report as a stakeholder, because basically, I mean, finally, someone in a report advocating for more investment in research and innovation, which is at the basis of the assumption that the letter report is on suggesting ways to make Europe more competitive at industrial level. And I had the lucky chance to participate to a meeting with Mr. Letta. It was a networking dinner where he anticipated what were the focus of his reports that then came out. But what was funny there, it was that he pointed out a lot on industrial competitiveness. And the capability of Europe to remain industrially competitive and and somehow we didn't touch in the overall analysis made on research and innovation. And of course, as the only research stakeholder sitting around the table, I raised my hand and they said, okay, but you're talking about industrial competitiveness, and industrial competitiveness means innovation, and innovation means research. So is your report going to touch on this? And he said, yeah, no, for sure, my report is going to touch it. And it was an excellent surprise to see this happening, because I think that this has some chances to impact. But another thing that somehow made me a bit reflecting on it, he said, I hope that my report will not just get a lot of "we welcome" as conclusion. So my question is a bit provocative on you, Kanna. What do you think are the chances for the report to really impact on the political mindset? Because we are coming out from a period in which, if you want, Mr. Moedas at the time was able to really regenerate enthusiasm around the necessity to invest on science and technology. And Horizon 2020, Horizon Europe is a proof that somehow this happened, because it was a very large budget compared to the initial ambitions that were put on the table. Now we are approaching a new framework program where the request is high, but I would say the impression that the chances to repeat the successful engagement from member states in allocating a part of the MFF, an important part of MFF into it, are there. Of course, we are just imagining the wind. We are just playing the crystal ball game. But do you think that the letter report has chances to support defending the importance of investment in research and innovation, or it will just we welcome it and nothing will happen?
No, but I can tell you already that in the Commission internally, we have been asked, all the services, to prepare our reactions in relation to the letter report and suggestions on follow-up of the recommendations of the letter. So DG Research and Innovation prepared already its proposal. It's something internal for the moment. I don't know how much it will be taken up by the Central Commission Service, but certainly it's not just to welcome the report, because actually the report has been mandated by the European Council. The announcement was between the President of the European Council and Mr. Lehmann himself. So we do need to see seriously on this report, but of course in conjunction with the Draghi report. That's why on one side we are very happy that we have seen such a strong reference to the Draghi report on research and innovation, and I have to say we were even happily surprised to see references to concrete technical aspects, European commons, research infrastructures, open science. I mean, that's things that are going very much in the detail. But we're looking very much forward to have a similar positive references in the draft report, because we have to see both reports in the consumptions. Now, concerning about the investments, when we think about investments on research and innovation, again, it's not just about the framework program, just to be very clear. We need to have investments also from the member states. And this is an effort that we have to do collectively. And what concerns me most, to be honest with you, is that when we have the revision of the MFF now, it was the ministers of finance, it was the member states that they have decided a cut of 2.1 billion euros from the framework program. In the context of STEP, despite the fact that we have European Innovation Council and we have requested new money there, again, it's about 1.5 billion euros, we got nothing. And the only part that was supported under STEP was defense. So we have to do also a reality check here. And this reality check, we have to accept that there are new priorities. And we have to see how we position research and innovation spending and investments towards these new priorities. And I think we will be much more successful if we do this in a smart way. I don't want to say more because I cannot say more, but this is from the side of the framework program. From the side of the member states, one could see how we can be more influential on incentivizing, not just incentivizing the member states, putting more money on research and innovation, but also using the frameworks that the treaty gives us in order to feel that they have to invest in innovation.
There is a role that a stakeholder can play in it. I mean, we have the possibility and the capability of advocating at our respective national level to try to keep the attention of our respective governance leaders and decision makers in this direction. I don't want really to monopolize because I think Anna is going to be bombarded by questions and I still see people booking it. I would start with one of your former colleagues, which is an aficionado of our 1 hour Europe. So Dimitri, nice to see you again and welcome to open. I know that you always have very nice and challenging questions. So just be prepared to open your camera. You should be now able to open your camera microphone and pose your question to Anna. Welcome, Dimitri. Just open your mic.
Thank you very much. And I would like to thank Anna for her presentation. It was very insightful. And I learned a lot. I just wanted to ask how, Anna, would you assess the overall connectivity between university research organizations and industry in Europe in the light of the growing technological gap we have with the United States? Yesterday, the Financial Times had a particular article on the topic and a very much telling graph where we could see that in advanced technologies, Europe is actually going under China and the United States. And you mentioned already artificial intelligence. So I know that a lot is being done. I know it's a very complex issue, and I know that the Commission has no real competence on the matter, although the treaty is a little bit better now. But I know that the Commission has decided not really to make use of what is in the treaty, at least for now, for, I would say, more forthcoming actions. But I would like to focus on my question, which is the overall connectivity between science and industry in Europe, so that, as you said, to increase and improve competitiveness in Europe. Thank you.
So, yeah, I mean, that's the whole point. And that's very much linked to the financing or the increase or less increased financing for the next research and innovation framework program as well. I think we don't do quite well. And there may be different reasons why we don't do quite well. The first one is what is the focus of the network of research organizations, universities? Is it really the focus when they are collaborating and preparing their next results is to link with the market, with the industry, and to bring the results into the market or not? That's the question. And I have the impression that really it's not the first priority. Second issue is what is the appetite of the industry to come closer and to capitalize on the results of the research and innovation. And despite the fact that we have put this public-private partnerships, industrial partners together with research organizations and universities in place, in some cases we have very good examples. I'm thinking about the health part. In other cases, we don't have very good examples. And if I take the example of the health part, and let's go to COVID for a moment. The mRNA is considered to be one of the biggest success stories of the framework programs. I'm not talking about this framework. And we had one company that further developed this product, the BioNTech in Germany. Which industry came and took this product and created the vaccine? It was Pfizer, an American company. So what this demonstrates to me that there is a gap in the ecosystem and there is a gap in the connection between the industrial partners that they will be able to scaling up and to bring in the European market these new technologies, the new products, and what we are doing in the context of research and innovation. And we have absolutely to make an effort to fill in this gap. And it has to be also with the investments, because when we're talking about investments on research and innovation, we need the private sector also to fund the incentives to come up and invest on research and innovation in order to be able to exploit the results in their industrial development. So yes, we are lagging behind. And this is one of the main issues that I believe and I see that the Commission will try to address. Now, the risk that we are going to have there, and this is where we have also to put our collective reflections, is to push very much towards high TRL, very much towards to things that it will be exploited and deployed by the industry, and to give less importance to the lower TRL and to the basic research. And this is where I think that we have to make a narrative that competitiveness in Europe and links with the business and the industry should not only come to a higher level, but should come from the lower level as well. And the work that we are doing in the context of the European Innovation Council, starting with the Pathfinder and Transition, is an excellent example, which will demonstrate that when we are having new developments, and through the proof of concept that we're doing also with the ERC, we can develop the pathways for collaboration between research and innovation communities, new technologies, and the industrial deployment of those. So indeed, this is an issue to pay attention, and I'm sure that the European Commission overall will pay particular attention on that. And if we're talking about clean tech as well, the Net Zero Act that has been adopted very recently is one way to look at it.
No, interesting what you're saying. I think I stole a couple of minutes to the colleagues connected that are waiting to intervene, because you mentioned that the current gap that still exists about the intention to generate innovation on universities. And this links with another initiative that the Commission has been responsible for, which is the process of modernization of universities, no? That was aimed
Yeah.
exactly to generate this change of mentality. So you mean that there's still a lot of work to do. Did we do any improvement in changing the mentality? I suspect that this applies more to traditional university or comprehensive university compared to technical university, because if I have to look to NTNU as also a, if you want, innovation-oriented culture. But your assessment is that we need to maybe to add an extra action in the ERA plan to
Well,
push
I don't
the
know.
modernization process?
I don't know whether we need to have an additional ERA action in the ERA plan for push the modernization process. Yes, that could be one possibility. The other possibility is all the work that we're doing in the context in Coara and of the way that we are going to incentivize researchers, the research organization, and research communities while they are doing the research. So if the objective of doing research, collaborative research or basic research, is the next publication, of course, I mean, the one that don't exclude the other, but of course, this is not going to contribute so heavily to what we are just discussing, to the industrial competitiveness of Europe. If, on the other side, we create the incentives and the need to make this link with the broader business ecosystem and the industry, while we are doing the research, and if we are having in our mindset, when we are developing, even preparing our proposal, our next research activities, that if successful, if it makes sense, I would like to reach out also to the industrial partner or to potential industrial partner. I think these are issues that we have to put in place. Now, depending on the country, depending on the university, depending on the mentality, there are some universities, as you said, they are much more open in collaboration with industrial partners. They are much more open in teaming up and working also on behalf of industrial partners, and the others are less reluctant. And there we are going to another very important issue that certainly will be part of the new ERA policy agenda, is the freedoms of scientific research. So working with an industrial partner or for an industrial partner, or providing the outcome of your results for the benefit of an industry which we deploy in the market, should not put into question or in risk the freedom of scientific research as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I fully agree with you on this. Tobias, another friend of When I Was Europe, and also friend of myself, that I'm pleased to open the microphone. Thank you, Dimitri, for your challenging question that is opening other open issues. Tobias, you are online. Feel free to open your microphone and come and introduce yourself for the audience.
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Perfectly.
So thank you, Anna, and also Massimo and NTNU for organizing. I have followed the ERA for some 15 years in different roles within ERAC and as NCP, etc. So to me, I think you touched upon it a little bit, but the most important thing to succeed with ERA and an internal market for research and innovation is linked to the synergies between Horizon Europe and the research programs at national level. As you know, 90 to 95% of R&I funds lie at the national level in Europe. So more research councils have to open up for access to foreign applicants, make this easier, and have more references in the call texts about Horizon Europe, aims and priorities, and ERA in their own national call texts, and also regional for that matter. On another side, also there are synergies within the EU and Horizon that are important. So I would like to see more references in Pillar 2, for example, in Horizon Europe to ERA priorities. This is important for the visibility. Do you have comments to this? I mean, on the AI, the first thing they do is to make sure that the national and commission level is number one task. What are the biggest hurdles? Thank you.
Thank you, Tobias.
So, no, I don't have a particular comment on that. What I would like to say is that indeed what I detect also, being responsible for ERA for the last 3 years, I don't remember, 2022, I mean 3 years, is that we look a little bit ERA in isolation of the rest of the framework program. In practice, ERA is the political framework for doing research and innovation in Europe, and the framework program is the instrument. So priorities of ERA should be considered across the framework program. And in a way, what we are doing in MSCA, Managed is a priority of ERA. What we are doing in ERC is a priority of ERA. What we are doing in the part of research infrastructure, priority of ERA. Indeed, Pillar 2, in the narrative of Pillar 2, it looks that a bit forgets about the ERA priorities and the ERA principles. And also when we are thinking about ERA funding, it looks like ERA funding is the 400 million euros retained or dedicated under the wide ERA work program, which should not be the case. This is why we'll try to make better links with the thematic priorities. You saw that I'm insisting on that we have in the ERA actions to make better links with what happens in Pillar 2, hydrogen valleys, about the set plan, about the AI. So we really have to make better links there. Now, we are looking very much forward to the final report of the FP10 task force on from the ERAC on their suggestions for the next framework program, and to the high-level group of experts under Mr. Heitor, where there will be a dedicated discussion on ERA and the framework program. And based on that, I hope that whatever we come or we prepare in the future, we have a very strong political narrative about ERA, its objectives and its priorities, and then to see how this will be translated in the funding across the framework program. But we should not forget that ERA is the collaboration with the member states. So again, it would be the framework to see how jointly the framework program and the member states will contribute to delivering these ERA priorities. This is why the broader the ERA priorities are in the context of addressing things that they are not only focused on deepening the internal market, but going a little bit beyond, will help us to make the narrative that ERA is the political basis for whatever we do as priorities in the context of the framework program as well.
Thank you, Anna. I have another person, which is also a colleague that works in sector of interest, which is the sector of research support, even if today he's talking about another aspect. And I'm really pleased to see also the new era for the research management system, because we are a small member of it, and it's nice to see the attention the Commission is putting on a tool that is supposed to complement the generation of excellent research activities. And research managers somehow are behind the lines, but an important asset for all the research system of Europe. Edwin, we are now giving you the voice. Remember to mention who you are, where you come from, before putting your questions on the table. Yeah.
Yes, this is me. So, good morning, and thank you for this interesting webinar. First time I've been here, and definitely will not be the last time. My question is about, I think, a little bit also related to that of Tobias, is that about the links, and especially about many of these ERA actions are connected to each other. So how are we going to look in a more holistic view on the effects of these ERA actions? That's basically my question.
First of all, what we are trying to prepare now, in view of the ERA conference on the 18th and 19th of September, is to look a little bit back at the ERA communication, the priorities we set up, and how we were able to address those priorities. And this is where it comes exactly what you said. we should not look at each one of the ERA action on isolation, what we deliver with careers, what we deliver with open science, what we deliver with tests, etc. But we have to look, okay, we had the 20 ERA actions. What is the impact of those actions in order to deliver the priority setting that we put in the ERA communication in a more holistic approach? That's one thing. The second issue is how we will be able, when we're reflecting about the activities and the implementation of the different actions, to have a more portfolio approach. Okay, we have actions in the one priority, activities in one, activities in the other. Okay, and the overall objective is, for example, modernization of universities. What it means, modernization of universities? This is one of my best examples. That if you look each one of the ERA actions, all of them are essential in the way that the university or a research organization is operating or is doing research and innovation in order to be modernized. Whether it is the way they incentivize, evaluate the research, whether it is how they share the data or how they connect the data, whether it is whether they're using AI models or not in order to advance the research, whether they have access to research infrastructures and even transnational access to research infrastructures. At the end, all these are elements to say, okay, you are an excellent university or you are an excellent organization because you have put in place all these measures, incentives, priorities in order to deliver a, how shall I say, a research and innovation process, or to define a research and innovation way of working in order to bring excellent results. I think the organization itself, its organization itself, is the place where you could see the connections and the more holistic approach among the different ERA priority actions. And if I want to make a step further, the ecosystem itself, because it's not about just one organization is doing that. We have to look at the ecosystem. And then in this context, if we go back to the framework program and to the obligations that we have in the framework program, you know very well that the organization, they need to have gender plans when they participate in the framework program. They have obligations about open access. They have obligations about the data management. These are ways also to push for what we have as principal ERA priorities through the incentives that we give with funding. So this is another way to collectively consortia, the people that are collaborate together to advance in a holistic approach the different ERA priorities.
Thank you, Anna. We still have 2 questions to go and we are approaching the end. If you agree, we can expand of 5 minutes. Okay. So for you to know, we are accepting the last 2 questions and then we will close today exceptionally late because normally we end 1 hour at the end. So Ignazi, efficient, fast, as I know you are. Do your question to Anna. We are going to allow you to do it in a few seconds. There you are.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep. Well, this is Ignacio Salvador representing 4 Spanish universities here in Brussels, 2 from Barcelona, 2 from Madrid. And my question was about very practical one about the platform for the talent development platform and the observatory for ensuring that the research careers are actually really attractive in Europe. Do we have any idea of the timetable for when those 2 instruments are going to be implemented, are going to be in place?
So first of all, the new ERA talent platform, the one-stop shop for researchers in Europe, will be launched on the 10th of June in the context of the Euro Access conference that we are going to celebrate the 20 years of Euro Access in Katowice. So what we are going to have there, we are going to have a revamped Euro Access platform as well. But what we are not going to have yet, it will be the observatory. because we are about to finalize now the agreement that we have with OECD on how we go ahead with the observatory, and then we start the work. So this will come a little bit later. But the ERA platform plus the revamped Euro Access platform will be there on the 10th of June.
That was fast, thank you. Last question, as agreed, Martin, be ready to open the microphone, introduce yourself, and then we will close according to the commitments.
Okay, seems to be working. So I'm Martin Andler. I'm the president of the Initiative for Science in Europe. Hello to both of you, to Anna. And my question concerns the innovation part of Horizon Europe. I mean, this is far from getting the same kind of approval as the research part, because of course there are new instruments and they're being experimented. But one objection which has been made recently by Nobel laureate in economics, Jean Tirole, in a report is that the European Innovation Council focuses on much too high level of TRLs, and that it should focus, like the American equivalent, on much lower levels of TRLs, and higher level of TRLs should be left to industry. So how are you projecting evolutions of that dimension of Horizon Europe in the next framework program?
So this links also to your previous comment about the capacity of Europe to generate innovations.
Well, I mean, I'm a bit surprised with this comment, to be honest, and I will be happy to share with all of you the last report of the EIC impact report, where you could see that we do focus on deep tech technologies across different levels of TRLs. And actually, when we are discussing with our program committee with the member states, we have three parts of the program. It's the Pathfinder, which is really the low TRL. It is a transition where we prepare the business case to go higher, up to TRL 6. And then we have the accelerator, which is really for focusing on scaling up companies. So I have to confirm that with EIC, we consider that is a very good example where we managed to go from really basic research up to the higher TRL. The way we split the budget, it's very much balanced as well. Of course, given that the scaling up companies in Europe is extremely important, Accelerator has an important budget, and in particular, the EIC fund under the Accelerator has a budget up to 3 billion euros, but with a very specific objective, supporting companies to scale up and to keep in Europe. But many of these companies and the products that they have in these companies, they are coming from for lower TRL that they are studying even from ERC. We have established a very close collaboration between ERC and ERC. Or they are coming from the lower levels of EIC, which is the Pathfinder and the transition. I don't know how things will be developed in the future. Certainly, the narrative from our side is if we want to excel in key technologies in Europe, we have to really make sure that the lower tier levelers are there. And on the contrary of what you're saying, what I have heard, and maybe you can confirm or not, is that there are some concerns about Pillar 2 that is focusing in higher TRL than in lower TRL. Whereas for the EIC and the way we split the budget, I have the impression that we have a more balanced approach. Having said that, we have some Nobel laureates that they're also participating in the calls, very successful in the calls of EIC, and we can use them also as our very successful examples. But point taken, we will look back to it. What is important for us, on the contrary to what you said, is to keep the integrity of the EIC altogether. It's not just to say, okay, EIC is up between TRL 1 up to TRL 6, and the accelerator will keep it with the industry. We think that we really have to make this pathway or the investment journey from Pathfinder up to accelerator, and then afterwards, through the business acceleration services, to make the links between the beneficiaries of PIC with big industries that will be able to capitalize from the results of the new technologies and bring them to the market.
I confirm the last comment you made about the advocation to lower tier collaborative research to happen. And one schema that, in our opinion, was very successful for this to happen, and that we are missing, and that we hope to see reappearing in the next framework program, is the FET, the Future Emerging Technologies, which in principle is supposed to be.
Yeah, is the pathfinder.
I have to tell you, not to full.
Okay.
So that's we can discuss about it, but
looking
yeah.
forward to have
Yeah,
your feedback on
absolutely. You have our position paper on it.
Oh, okay.
I will send it to you, no problem, the new position paper. So I'm very sorry for being the bore. We cannot welcome your question. I will offer you a copy at our next meeting to apologize. Thank you very much to everyone. Thank you, Anna, for this very interesting and constructive discussion. I invite you to stay in touch with us. We are organizing the next edition of the 1 Hour is Europe. We hope to have another guest from the Commission possibly before the mid of June, but you will be kept informed as you are members of our mailing list. You will receive our next invitation, hopefully soon. Thank you again, Anna. Thank you everyone for participating. See you at our next appointment.